Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Vadarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Puna Puna Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namah. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Verse number 242. Aikyam tayor lakshitayor navachayo nigatyate anyo niviruddha dharmino khadveta bhanavo ripuraj vrittayo upamburashayo paramanu meruho. I repeat one more time. Aikyam tayor lakshitayor navachayo nigatyate anyo niviruddha dharmino खद्वेत भानवो रिवराज भृत्तयो ऊपाम्बुराशयो परमाणु मेर्वोः. See the translation. Then, divesting these terms of their relative associations, their implied but not literal meaning are to be understood, for they are of contradictory attributes like the sun and the glowworm, the king and the servant, the ocean and the whale, Mount Meru and the autumn. See the one more time the translation. Then, divesting these terms of their relative associations, their implied not but not literal meanings are to be understood, for they are of contradictory attributes like the sun and the glowworm, the king and the servant, the ocean and the whale, Mount Meru and the autumn. In previous talk, we were talking about Tattvamasi. Tattvamasi, from here, the real work of the Vedanta actually begins. The real work of the Vedantas is to establish the identity, the Brahman and the Jiva. Oneness is the reality. Duality is accepted by ignorance and by every philosophy and religions, creed, dogma, whatever they have faith, their religion. Actually, we have started in the last session. What is Tattvamasi? What is Tattvamasi? Tattvamasi means a great sentence. Tat Tvam Asi. When a guru says to disciple, the story is in Chandogya Upanishad. The disciple went for a study of scriptures, a master, and studied very well. After having done all studies, he came back his house and he became so arrogant. His father saw, and father put some questions in front of the son. He could not reply. Then he said, if you are so learned, you teach me. So his father becomes his teacher, and study started. In the last point, the father said, this time not a father, as a master. He said, Tat Tomasi, you are that. This is the real work of the Vedanta. To establish non-duality. This is the culmination of the Vedas. In this point, we have studied about universe, we have studied about Jiva, about Ishvara. There are so many philosophies, so many religions, creed, dogma, all accept more or less same things. There may be some differentiations about their definitions. There are so many rituals, sacrifices, mental activities. Every religion has its own way of practice. According to every religion, every philosophy all over the world, they are trying to come to the point, this point, where they have to explain about universe, about the God and individual soul. We also did the same thing. Vedas are the four, and Vedas are for everyone, and they give something for everyone. The last part of the Vedas is Upanishad. Upanishad means Brahma Vidya. And essence of the Vedas, Upanishads, there are only four great sentences. These four sentences, we call them great sentences. What is their greatness? They are very long, big sentence. Its only meaning is their message is very great. The height of the message, even no other can achieve. The message is very great. That is why we call them great sentence. So every Veda, Samaveda, Rigaveda, Yajurveda, Atharva Veda. So every Veda has its own great sentence. Here we are talking about Atharva Veda, Chandogya Upanishad. Chandogya Upanishad, the Upanishad is Chandogya, and it's the culmination of the Vedas is Tattvamasi. We have to understood what is Tattvamasi. What is the message? Then Guru says, Tat means that. You means you. Asi means or same. So what is you? That we can understand, that means God. God is not visible, but what is you? So when Guru addresses you, what does it mean? We cannot address an inert object as a you. You cannot say a chair, you. We cannot address a book as a you. Book is a book because the book cannot listen to you. And other word is we cannot address directly to your consciousness also. So you means what? You means limited consciousness. Limited consciousness. Then Aikyam tayo lakshitayo na vachyo. Here Shankaracharya says, Tattvamasi. Tattvamasi means you are that. In Sanskrit, the word has two meanings. One is direct meaning and another is indirect meaning. One meaning is literal meaning. You means you. Another meaning is implied meaning. Implied meaning is you are saying something else and you are understanding something else. So here, you does not mean that you understand that you. You understand that a different way. First, he gave 4 examples. The example is Khadveta Bhanayo Riva Bhradi Vrittayo. First example is sun and glowworm. Sun and glowworm. This example is for knowledge. Knowledge. Sun is like, God is like sun, and Jiva is like a glowworm. Because God knows everything. God is aware for everything. And Jiva does not know even yourself. So Ishvara means like a sun. The sunlight is everywhere. Sunlight is everywhere. It illuminates all over the world. But the glowworm just little light. So this example is to explain difference between God and Jiva. God is like sun, Jiva is like a glowworms. And another example is king and servant. This example is for controller and controlled. First, see, understand difference. What the difference between Jiva and Ishvara? Who is controlled, controller, and who is controlled? Jiva is controlled by the God. Here example is king and servant. King is the controller and servant is the controlled. Both are different. Their power is different. Same way, God is the controller. He controls everything. In Gita, Lord Sri Krishna says, Ishvara sarvabhutanam hridesya arjun tishtati brahmyan sarvabhutani yantra rudhani maya. Arjun, the God is residing everyone's heart and controls everyone. We think we are doing, but we are controlled by the God. So Jiva is the controlled, God is controller. And third example is ocean and whale. This example is for happiness. Like ocean is unlimited water is there. In whale, water is very limited. Same. Our happiness is limited. Our happiness is limited by objects. Our happiness is limited by time. Our happiness is limited by person, conditions, situations. But happiness of the God is every time unlimited. So this is the difference between two. Another example is example number 4, mountain and autumn. A small autumn. This example is for limiting the presence. Jiva is limited in the body. Jiva is limited in particular body. I am in this body. Only I am this body. I am not any another body. I am not anywhere else. I am only in this body. But God is everywhere. God is everywhere. So God is everywhere, but Jiva is not everywhere. Here Shankaracharya says, these are 4 examples. So Jiva is different, Ishvara is different. They both are not one because their capacity. But when Guru says, you are that, Tattvamasi. So how to understand this reality? How to understand this fact? I am that. That is why Shankaracharya says, don't take direct meaning. Don't take direct meaning. You have to take implied meaning. Like we are going in the road and we need a taxi to go somewhere. And we call taxi. So here taxi does not mean taxi. Here taxi means a driver. Taxi cannot listen to us. But we call taxi and driver comes to us. So word is different, meaning is different. Same when Tattvamasi in this great sentence. Master says Tat means you. It does not mean you directly. So God does not mean God. Be careful. This topic and this point is very dangerous for spiritual seekers. Very careful, attentive. So Sankaracharya says, Aikyam tayora lakshatayo navachiyo. Here, you does not mean you. You does not mean limited body. You have to take implied meaning. Now take one of the next one. Tayo virodho ayam adhikupadi kalpito navastava kaschitupadhirisha isasya maya mahedadi karanam jivasya karyam srunu pancha kosham. The meaning is the difference between them is only created by superimposition and it not real. The conditioning in the case of Ishvara is Maya or Mahat, etc. And listen, the conditions in the case of the Jiva are the five seeds. See the meaning? The differences between of them is created by superimposition and not something real. This superimposition in case of Lord Ishvara is Maya are nations, which is the cause of Mahat, the rest, and the limiting condition in case of individual soul is the five seeds, which is effects of the ignorance. As I told you, be attentive, be very careful. Now the question is, what are the conditions for Jiva and for Ishvara? What are the conditions? So first listen, like there is space. And space reflects everywhere. In the ponds, in the ocean, in the whale, in the mirror, dewdrops, everywhere. Same, the supreme consciousness is reflects. It reflects. It reflects in Maya. It reflects in ignorance. Ignorance means our intellect. So these are two conditions, limitations. What is God and what is you? About you, one thing is clear. What? That you are not inert. You are not like a stone. You are not like a chair. You are not like a book. You are inert. You are sentient. And God also not inert. God is sentient. So one quality in you and God is same. That is, you are sentient. God also the sentient. One thing clear. Now, there are so many philosophies, so many thinking principles. They think what Jiva is. Some says Jiva is the part of the God. Mamai vanso Jiva loke. In Gita also, Lord Sri Krishna says, this jiva is my part. Mamai vanso jivalok. There are some philosophies who say the jiva is like sparking. God is like big volcano. Big volcano. And jiva is like a small sparking. There are so many philosophies. They accept jiva is different from the God. Everyone accepts that. And this acceptance is very easy. Very easy. I am different, God is different. God is in heaven, I am earth. There is no worry. So there are so many philosophies. Every religion, every philosophy has its own idea about God, about Jiva. Vedanta also has. What Vedanta goes few steps ahead. All philosophies got stuck here. They are, for them, this point is the highest point. But for Vedanta, this is not highest. You have to travel more. Journey is not end it. So Vedanta says, the reality is there is no difference between you and God. So this sentence is very, very important. Tayo virodho ayam upadhi kalpito na vastava kaschid upadirisha. Shankaracharya says, the differentiation between the God and the Jiva is not real. It is not real. It appears because of conditions. Tayo virodho ayam upadhi kalpito navastava kaschid upadhi. In Upanishads, there is a mantra who says that Dva Suparna Sevjau Sakhayau Samanam Vriksham Parishastvajate. The Upanishad says there is a tree, and in one branch there were sitting two birds. They were friends, they were same, everything is very similar. And those are Jiva and Ishvara. So whatever capacity God has, you also have. So difference between you and the God is not real, but difference is. It is because of upadhi limitations. But this differentiation not in deep down. It is very superficial. Very superficial. If you work properly, you will find out the all difference will disappear immediately. So what are these conditions? Shankaracharya says, Ishasya maya mahedadi karanam jivasya karyam sudu pancha kosham. The condition for God is maya. Maya. Maya means the power of the God. Maya means the power of the God. And God controls Maya. Maya creates everything. God gives order to create the universe, and Maya done it. One more thing, God does not forget its own nature. Anytime, any condition. That is why we call him Achyut. Achyut means who does not forget his own nature. I am the God. I am the supreme. So whatever condition is there, but God is not deluded. God enjoy the Maya. God can enjoy the Maya. And in case of Jiva, situation is very opposite. The condition of the Jiva is ignorance. And every Jiva has its own personal ignorance. My ignorance is different. Your ignorance is different. Every person has its own ignorance. Very personal ignorance. And because Maya is one, so reflection becomes one. That is why God is one. There is no two gods. God is one. The supreme reality is one. And Jiva is so many. Because every individual has one ignorance. That is why my individual self is different. Your individual self is different. Every particular body has its own different. So, Jivasya karyam sru panchakosham. So, Master says, O disciple, listen. The limitation of the gods is Maya, and limitation of the Jiva is Panchakosha. I will explain. First, I take next one. एतागुपाधि परजीवयोस्तयो सम्यग् निरासे न परो न जीवः राज्यं नरेन्द्रस्य भटस्य खेटकः तयो अपोहे न भटो न राजा. I repeat. एतागुपाधि परजीवयोस्तयोः सम्यग् निरासे न परो न जीवः राज्यं नरेन्द्रस्य भटस्य खेटकः तयो अपोहे न भटो न राजा. The meaning is, these two are superimpositions of Ishvara and Jiva. But when they are completely eliminated, there is neither Ishvara nor Jiva. When the kingdom of the king and the shield of the soldier are taken away, there can neither be a king nor a soldier. See the translation one more time. These two supreme positions of the Ishvara and the Jiva, and when these are perfectly eliminated, there is neither Ishvara nor Jiva. A kingdom is the limitations of king and the shield of the soldier. When these are taken away, there is neither king nor soldier. You and that. There are two words because of limitations, because of supreme positions. Ishvara is because of Maya, Jiva is because of ignorance. If a seeker can eliminate the supreme positions of Jiva and Ishvara, then pure consciousness will remain alone. They appear very different because their conditions are very different. Once conditions have been removed, the difference between of them will automatically disappear. One thing have to remember here very carefully. It is not being said that the jiva will become Ishvara. Point is very subtle. Jiva never become Ishvara. Ishvara is very different. Jiva is very different. So don't think you are God. God is God, you are the you are. They never could be one. So don't make this mistake. Without eliminating conditions, don't think you are God. You would be caught in ego. Somewhere Shankaracharya said he was praying God. He wrote, "Oh God, this is true. Jiva and Ishvara are not different. They are one. Why intrinsically we are one. But you are God. I am your devotee. I could not be God. I am your devotee. You are my God. By nature, we are one, but conditions are very different." He said, the waves can be in the ocean. Ocean cannot be in waves. Ocean is not limited in waves. Ocean is more than waves. Waves cannot exist without ocean, but ocean can exist. So, oh God, you are like a ocean. We are like a waves. That is why I pray to you. Bhaktyartam kalpitam dvaitam advaitadapi sundara. He said, that is why I pray God. I imagined duality. This duality is more beautiful than non-duality. So Shankaracharya understand the difference between the points. If you want to know this non-duality, you have to start from yourself. Yourself. And the work should be started from Panchakosha. You purify yourself. You eliminate your bondage, your limitations. I am not the body. I am not the prana. I am not the mind. I am not the intellect. I am not the happiness. Then question will come, who are you? Here is no question. I am 100% sure I am the body. So where the question? There is no question. I am the body. Question will arise when you eliminate. I am not the body. I am not the prana. I am not the mind, intellect, Anandamaya Kosha. I am not. Then question will arise. Who are you? The answer will be given to you. You are the consciousness. Then again question will arise. Then what is God? What the difference between me and God? So Shankaracharya says, the seeker first work on self, not for God. But so many Vedantin, the student of the Vedanta becomes Nastik. I am the God. I'm like God. So there is no need for worship. No. Shankaracharya was very, very good devotee of the God. Evam upadi parajivayo. So upadi limitations of the God is Maya, and upadi limitations of jiva is the ignorance. Here ignorance is called in five sheets. Five sheets. So Vedanta does not say any time jiva becomes Ishara. Vedanta says consciousness is one. Remember one thing. Consciousness is one. Not God and Ishara is one. Don't misunderstand it. Vedanta does not say the Ishwar and God, Jiva is one. No. Ishwar is different, Jiva is different. What consciousness is one? Like, example, as if here is electricity. Electricity expresses itself through so many gadgets, so many lights. So these lights have its own power, own capacity. There are so many bulbs. Some bulbs have capacity 20 watt, 0 watt, 100 watt, 1000 watts. Electricity expresses itself through all these gadgets, bulbs. So electricity is the one. Electricity has no difference, but the equipment of expression are different. Same, the consciousness is one. The same consciousness is express itself through Maya, it called God. The supreme consciousness, when it expresses itself through ignorance, we call it Jiva. So Jiva is different, God is different, but consciousness is one. The point is that God and Ishvara, God and Jiva is not same. That is why Shankaracharya wrote, imply the meaning. So in Jivhood, there are unlimited level of expression of the consciousness. In the case of Ishvara, there is only one equipment, we call it Maya. And in case of Jiva, there are so many equipment. Every body, every mind has its own capacity to express itself, to express consciousness. In trees, express itself, the consciousness, very, very little. In insects, much more. Animals, more. And in human beings, almost completely. So Shankaracharya says, Eta bupadi parajivayostayo samyak nirase na paro na jiva. Samyak, the word is very, very useful. Samyak, very carefully, very attentively, you remove the limitations. You remove First, your limitations. Your limitation is, I am the body, remove this bondage. Then will come, I am the prana, and practice. You are not prana. I am not the prana. Then will come, I am the mind, thought. It also remove. I am jiva. I am jiva. I will go to heaven. I will go to hell. I will take another body. I am doing sin. I am doing such. Doer. Experience. So this thought will come. The master will say, no, you are not. You are not. You are not going anywhere. You are not going even to die. You are not going even to take another birth. You are not jiva. Slowly, slowly, the step will come. I am not even happiness. The happiness is happening through objects. It comes and goes. I am not this happiness. So slowly, Shankaracharya says, Samyak paro, samyak nirase. You have to remove it very carefully. I am not this, I am not this, I am not this, I am not this. Then finally will come, who am I? If I am not this body, I am not the prana, I am not intellect, not the jiva, not even happiness, then what am I? Who am I? I am, it is sure, but who? Then Guru will say, you are the consciousness. You are the consciousness. You are not inert. You are not body. Body is inert. Prana is also inert. Mind is also inert. You are not inert. You are consciousness. Pure consciousness. Happiness is also not consciousness. It is also inert. It comes and goes. Jivahood also comes and goes. Your consciousness, without limitations, without conditioning, you are pure. Then question will come, if I am the consciousness, then what about the God? There are two consciousness or one? The master will say one. Then what about the God? That time the master will say, you and God are not two. That time the master will say, yeah, you and God are not two consciousness. Consciousness is the one. So first work upon you. Now, next one. Athata adeshaiti shruti swayam निषेधयति ब्रह्मणि कल्पितं द्वयं श्रुति प्रमाणानुगृहीत बोधा तयो निराशा करणीय एव. I repeat one more time. अथात आदेश इति श्रुति स्वयं निषेधति ब्रह्मणि कल्पितं द्वयं श्रुति प्रमाणानुगृहीत बोधात् तयो निराशा करणीय एव. The meaning is, now is the injunctions, etc. in these words of scriptures reject the imagined duality in Brahman. Supported by the authority of the scriptures, one must certainly eliminate these two supreme positions by means of direct realization. See the meaning? Athat Adesha. The Vedas themselves in the words now then is the injunctions, etc. repudiate the duality Imagine in the Brahman, one must need eliminate those two supreme positions by dint of realization supported by the Vedas. Now, one thing has been clear for seeker: God and Jiva by intrinsic nature are one. Only thing is, we have to remove the conditions. The question will arise how? Here is giving explained. Shankaracharya said, Athat Adesha Shrutihi. The differentiation between you and the God is because of the supreme position. Otherwise, there is no differentiation. Duality between us is just imagined. No, there is no reality. Kalpitam Dvayam. The substratum is the supreme consciousness. And this supreme consciousness, there are two imaginations. One is God, another is Jiva. So, a sadhak, a seeker, by direct realization, these two supreme positions must eliminate. We have no other option. We have to do that. Karaniya eva. You apply your logic. But your logic is not able to eliminate them. So we have to take support from the scriptures. Here Shankaracharya is quoting a mantra from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Athat Adesha iti Shruti. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is a mantra, Athata. Like if you have read the Yoga Sutra, there is written Atha Yoga Anushasanam, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. So this is the method to beginning a very big Brahma Vidya, Athata. Then after, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also, there is a chapter and there is written Athato Adesha Neti Neti. Bhagavati Shruti says, this is not, this is not, this is not. Twice. It means he negates the gross word is not pure consciousness. The subtle word is also not consciousness. And in this context, the Bhagavati Shruti says, the Jiva is not pure consciousness. Even God is also not pure consciousness. Neti, neti. Iti Shruti Swayam Nishedeti. These words, the scriptures rejects imagined duality in the Brahman. The Vedas also saying this the imagination. In the Brahman, God is also imagination, Jiva is also imagination. There are some superimpositions. You just remove. Duality automatically will go. Duality will go. Just remove the limitations. Shruti Pramana Anugrahita Bodha. Here, this word is very important. You apply your logic. The very simple way is in Vedanta or in spiritual life. For yourself, you have to do. No other can do for you. Your ignorance is your ignorance. You have to remove it, like your body, your prana, your mind, your happiness, your sadness. You have to face, you have to encounter them. No one can do for you. Your body, you handle it. Your prana, you take breathe for yourself. No one can take. Your thought process, you control. Any other person cannot do for you. So your imagination, your hallucination, you control. You apply your logic. But the condition is your logics must be supported by the Shruti. The point is your logics must be supported by Shruti. What does it mean? It means that first you listen from the scriptures what consciousness is. You don't imagine. You don't apply your logic. First you listen carefully from the master. What consciousness is, what jiva is. The scriptures will tell you what jiva is, what God is. Then you apply your logics. So our logics must be supported by Shruti Pramana Anugrahita Bodhat. And when you apply your logic, it is supported by Vedas. It will transform in realization. When it will transform in realization, the duality between Jiva and God will disappear. And Athat Ades iti Sruti Swayam Nishedeti Brahmani Kalpitadvayam. So this duality, which is imagined in Brahman, God and Jiva, will disappear if you apply your intellect, your logics, according to Vedas, then realization will happen. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Vadarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Puna Puna Ishwaru Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyaptadehaya Dakshina Nama. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.